Hey, you guys, I appreciate you stopping in. I'm not going to be long, but I'm going to talk to you about something that I think you have heard before. Have you ever heard people say, gosh, they are aging backwards? They don't really get older. But we all know we are all aging. And for this season of our life, it's about the quality of our life instead of how long we live. We want to live long, but we want to have quality, good quality of life as well. I'm going to share with you about 7 tips that people who really try to take care of themselves, what they actually do. Did you know that 20 to 30% of how you age is based on genetics? Now, everything else is on our choices. So let me share with you some of the choices that people make to help them to have a better quality of life and to look good while they're doing it, okay, while they're living. The first one is this: you have to stay curious. You gotta always try to learn new things. You know, when you're trying to learn something new, it takes a little effort on your brain. But if you keep everything stagnant, just the status quo, that's all you know right there, I'm telling you something, you're not stimulating your brain. It is very good to build your cognitive strength. And that's how your brain reacts to you learning new things. It might be a new language. It might be something with technology. It may be something with your adult children telling you something about, crypto, or your grandchildren telling you about the math that they are trying to learn. But just take your time, whether it's puzzles, anything that's going to make you say, oh my gosh, I got to see how to do this. When you do that, you are strengthening your cognitive skills, how you think, you're using it. And that is so important. And that's one of the things that they do to help them to stay abreast of things, stay on point and not be left back. The second thing is to definitely, I know you've heard this, eat simply. Now, another part of that is this. There's a Japanese term called hara hachi bu, which means to only eat 80% of the capacity. Don't leave the other 20%. Do not eat until you're full. Sometimes things are so good, you just bust wide open, just eating. And all you're doing is just stretching your stomach, because, something's so good. But you want to eat whole foods. The ultra processed foods, which is mostly in the middle of the supermarket, you might go in there and get some canned sardines. I like to get the King Oscar sardines because it's so good for you, okay? But some things are in the middle of the aisle. But the main thing, as far as whole foods, your meats and your vegetables and your fruits, nuts are on the inside, but nuts are on the outside too. But those are kind of things that we really need to be going for. So that means that you can't be going to the supermarket just only every 2 weeks, because you're going to be trying to get things that can last, but you need fresh items. And you start thinking about, okay, what am I going to have this week? You get your meat, your vegetables, go ahead and do your preparation. But those whole foods, but only eating, not until you just fill to capacity, but 80%. Now, we ain't gonna sit here and calculate 80%, but you know what I mean. You don't want to be sitting and just overeating. Now, another thing is that you have to honor your sleep rhythm. Now, the thing is that when it comes to your sleep rhythm, you know how much sleep you need, but we definitely want to always aim for 7, 8, or 9 hours sleep. Now, I know 9 hours, no, but 7 to 8 hours sleep, okay? But if you need more, you need more. But some people say, boy, I stayed up late last night and I was looking at this movie. It's not good for us, okay? You know, unless you're going to sleep a long time to, the next day. But our hormones, our bodies, all that is being healed while we are sleeping. So we want some good, uninterrupted sleep. We also want to turn off the television, the phones. At least if you can't get in an hour, at least 30 minutes before you actually start closing your eyes, okay? You might listen to some good gospel music or some jazz, whatever your preference is, okay? For me, I like to hear some good gospel music so that I can just wind down, thinking about the goodness of God. And that's for me. That's for me. The next thing is this. When you think of moving, exercising, sometimes people think of the gym. But we're not talking about the gym right now. We're talking about moving constantly. That it's just a flow of your life, whether it's walking a little bit, standing up, doing some calisthenics, but you want your body just to move like water, just move all the time. You understand? Because if you don't move, you're going to get stiff. So we want to make sure that we, keep our bodies going. That's so important. Then you want to have a habit of belonging deeply. In other words, in your relationships, you want to belong. You want to not just do things on the surface unless you have that kind of relationship, but you want to be involved. What you pour out, you'll get back, you see. So, you've heard that saying where they say, okay, they're not into you. Well, some family members may not really be into you, but you want to have, family, friends, but be involved, be really connected. And that's something that they ask people that's 100 years old or older. They ask them, what did you do to keep yourself, socially connected? And some of them live in multi-generational homes where, they got their adult children and grandchildren, and see the grandkids, keep them young and everything. Or they're in communities where, you have other people that's, think like you. But we don't want too much of that, because that means everybody can say, oh, listen, oh, my elbow hurts, and everything is just, you want to have a little bit of that, everything in balance. You want a little bit of grandkids if you have them, nieces or nephews, what your adult children are talking about. So it's something that is just in balance, that you want to make sure that you stay connected. So also, you want to make sure that you're managing your stress. Now, that can come through breathing correctly, praying, basically, or just being silent. Some people have to have all kind of stuff going on, but sometimes it's just good, like, to declutter. You know how you can see, I remember when I was in college, the dining room table was full of my books and papers. And then when that quarter, at that time it was a quarter before semester, I would just clean off that table. Oh my gosh, I felt so good. Because my mind was going all the time, like that. So it's really good to find your ways on how to manage your stress. And the other thing is, the last thing is giving back to others. I always talk about, I stress this, that we are leaving a legacy, whether it's good or bad, a legacy of you don't treat people right. I hate to say those are legacies, but it's whatever you leave back here, because we are moving. We know that we're not going to stay here. This is not our home, okay? Um, this is my channel. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus, okay? So it's just natural for me to say this, all right? But we're not going to be here, but we are building. This is our dressing room for where we're going to spend eternity. And we don't know the second that we're going to leave here, but we are leaving a legacy. Whether you're giving wisdom to others, whether you are caring for others, whether you are giving financially to others, people are looking at you. They're looking at how you take care of yourself. You know, are you one that when they come around, you just complain, don't have nothing to say? People love it when you got a sweet, awesome older person that knows how to build others up and not focus on themselves, but take the time out to just focus people. Because when you get older and the younger people, they ain't gonna be trying to be around somebody that's complaining all the time and talking about them all the time and saying you should have did this. They don't want to hear that. They are dealing with so much. So it's just important that we give back to others. Now, this is the secret in just a nutshell, okay? Is this. Longevity is built on these things. Move with ease. Eat with intention, the things that you eat, how often you eat. Sleep with the purpose, like saying, hey, I got to get these hours in. I got to get these hours in. Stay mentally alive, okay? And then connect with others. Now, hopefully, if you like this video, hopefully you'll share it with others. You'll hit the like sign. And if you can look around at some of my other videos. If you think this will be of value to you, please subscribe if you have not subscribed. And also I want to mention is this. I have some ebooks that's on my Self-Fi store to basically talk about a lot of different areas on how to navigate through life, even being people that are 50 and older, okay? Because you want to know how to get through. You want that framework on dealing with life at this age. You're dealing with your feelings. You know, the enemy can say, oh, you did this or whatever. You got to know how to communicate with adult children, your grandchildren. Some people just don't care. They say anything, but they wonder sometimes why others don't really want to be around them. We got to keep our environment, to the best of our ability, So that's why I said, if you can declutter, it will help relax you. You can have you some good green tea or herbal tea and, sit and just think about the goodness of God, But anyway, I have my Self-Fi store and you can look on there. I got some t-shirts that I created because it speaks the word that, I truly believe in, So the thing is that this is the second win of our life and everything. But it's really on how we do it. God's grace is your second win. You guys be blessed, and thank you for joining me. I'll talk to you later.